The league institutes its first Most Valuable Player award in 1956 and delegates the ballot to the players, who still travel by train and split sharply along the old east-west schedule. Bob Pettit, a 23-year-old power forward logging 41 minutes a night. AVERAG, he's 25.7 points and 16.2 rebounds, while his St. Louis Hawks stumbled to 33-39, good enough for second place only because the western half fielded just 4 teams. Yet the locker room vote drifts westward. Philadelphia's Paul Arizin shoots a league-best 45% for the 50-26 Warriors, but Eastern players cancel one another out, and Pettit's peers reward relentless volume over wins. The league commissions a trophy nearly 2 feet tall, so wide that Pettit needs both arms to hoist it, an early sign the NBA plans to market size as spectacle. Because the inaugural ballot reveals how geography and camaraderie can override record, writers begin lobbying for control of the vote, and front offices track regional voting splits as closely as field goal percentage. The Hawks, buoyed by Pettit's validation, double down on interior play, while Eastern coaches fret that dominance without victories could soon rewrite the honor roll. Those tensions simmer for 6 seasons, and when Bill Russell's Celtics and Wilt Chamberlain's Warriors collide in 1962, the question of value versus volume erupts into the most hotly debated race of the era. In 1962, Wilt Chamberlain averages an unfathomable 50.4 points per game across all 80 appearances, but finishes second in MVP voting. His dominance includes a 48.5-minute average, outscoring entire teams on occasion and leading the league in rebounds at 25.7. Yet his peers, who still control the MVP vote at this stage, see the raw numbers as bloated and out of sync with team success. Chamberlain's Warriors finish 49-31, good but not dominant, and players quietly resent what they perceive as stat padding. The award instead goes to Bill Russell, whose 23.6 rebounds per game powered the Celtics to a league-best 60-20 record. Meanwhile, Oscar Robertson posts the NBA's first triple-double season, 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists, but lands third. MVP ballots close March 12th, 4 days before Wilt drops his famous 100-point game, so that feat doesn't influence the outcome. Voters favor Russell's defense, consistency, and 5-time championship pedigree over individual fireworks. Chamberlain, furious at the snub, publicly hints that he's being punished for playing the only way they can't stop. The league's most unstoppable scorer spends the summer plotting revenge, culminating in a blockbuster trade to San Francisco and a whole new MVP race. In 1973, Boston center Dave Cowens wins MVP with a line of 20.5 points and 16.2 rebounds per game, powering a Celtics team that finishes 68-14. That record leads the league by 6 full games, but what surprises most observers is the way Cowens wins it, with no scoring title, no flashy averages, and no marketing campaign. Vegas lists Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the 3-1 preseason favorite, but by April, writers gravitate toward Boston's all-effort engine, who never misses a game and plays both ends like it's the playoffs. He finishes first in rebounds per minute and becomes the first MVP in a decade to average under 21 points. Meanwhile, Tiny Archibald leads the league in both scoring and assists, 34.0 points and 11.4 dimes per game, but his Kansas City Omaha Kings stumble to 36-46, removing him from real contention. Voters in '73, still guided by team success more than individual firepower, view Cowens as the ideal team MVP, a selfless grinder whose Celtics rotate so cleanly that no one posts more than 21 points a night. Boston's league-best defense gives up just 98.2 points per game, and Cowens anchors it with quick feet and constant motion. Asterisk, he famously shatters a shot clock bulb in practice with a thunderous putback, which becomes an unintended symbol of his wrecking ball energy. Kareem misses 10 games and gets just 13 first-place votes. Cowens earns 60. The Celtics lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, but the MVP discussion sets a precedent. The league will reward relentless defense and unglamorous box scores if the win total is high enough. In 1978, Bill Walton plays just 58 games for Portland, but still wins MVP. His season averages 18.9 points, 13.2 rebounds, and 5.0 assists per game reflect a stat line built on balance, not dominance. The Blazers sprint to a 50-10 start, the best record in the league by far, before Walton suffers a fractured foot that derails their momentum. Without him, Portland stumbles to a 13-14 finish, and concern spreads around the league about his long-term durability. Voters still reward his all-around impact, particularly his defense and playmaking from the center position, a rarity at the time. Meanwhile, George Gervin surges late in the season, scoring 63 points in the final game to clinch the scoring title. His Spurs finish 52-30, and Gervin ends second in MVP voting, a result some call controversial given Walton's limited availability. But the voters clearly prioritized team dominance during Walton's healthy stretch, which included a 30-4 home record and top-rated defense. Asterisk, his red afro MVP trophy photo, taken in a bandaged foot cast, becomes a pop culture icon. Asterisk, the 1978 race sets a precedent. Availability matters until it doesn't. Walton never plays another full season, and Portland's repeat hopes collapse. The following year, a 6 feet 9 inches forward from Philadelphia capitalizes on the narrative void left behind. In 1981, Julius Erving becomes the first forward to win MVP since Dave Cowens in 1973. He averages 24.6 points, 8.0 rebounds, and 4.4 assists, while also contributing 2.1 blocks and 2.0 steals per game defensive, metrics that rarely factored into MVP voting just a few years earlier. At 31 years old, Erving anchors the Sixers to a 62-20 record, and his two-way efficiency stands out in a year with no runaway statistical leader. The vote margin is razor-thin. Larry Bird finishes second, trailing Erving by only 80 points, largely due to split sentiment between East Coast and Midwest writers. Boston finishes with one fewer win, and while Bird scores slightly more, he lacks the same all-around impact on defense. The MVP announcement coincides with a heated second-round matchup between the Sixers and Celtics, where Erving's team takes a 3-1 lead before collapsing in 3 straight games. The blown series reignites talk about Erving's playoff struggles, even as he's honored for regular season dominance. At the time, the MVP voting concludes before the postseason, but the loss shapes public perception and dilutes the award's immediate impact. Still, Erving's cultural cachet remains untouchable. His free throw line dunk poster continues to outsell every other NBA image on the market. The backlash doesn't change the numbers, but it sets a tone for how postseason failures begin to shadow regular season excellence. Larry Bird internalizes the slight, and the next season, he returns with a sharpened game and a deeper Celtics roster, setting up the fiercest MVP rivalry of the 1980s. In 1982, Moses Malone wins his second MVP by leading a mediocre 4-6-3-6 Houston Rockets team to the playoffs almost entirely on his own production. Despite the Rockets finishing just 6th in the West, Malone averages 31.1 points and 14.7 rebounds per game while pulling down a staggering 338 offensive rebounds, still the third highest single-season mark in league history. His relentless effort on the boards becomes a defining trait, with fans at the summit chanting, "Moses eats glass" every time he fights for second chance points. The voting reflects his individual dominance, not team success. Malone secures 69 first-place votes, comfortably ahead of Larry Bird's 31, even though Bird's Celtics post a far superior 63-19 record. The same week the MVP is announced, Malone finalizes a $2 million contract clause, effectively setting the market rate for elite centers entering free agency. His win signals as shift voters start rewarding outsized personal output over win totals, especially for big men in shallow rosters. The following season, that trend reaches its breaking point as another center wins MVP while playing fewer than 60 games. In 1987, Magic Johnson captures his first MVP award, halting Larry Bird's bid for a fourth straight trophy. Magic averages 23.9 points, 12.2 assists, and 6.3 rebounds per game while shooting 52% from the field, his most efficient scoring season to date. The Lakers finish 65-17, topping the Western Conference by 10 games and leading the league in offensive rating. Their signature Showtime pace generates over 117 points per game, powered by Magic's precision passing and relentless transition play. For the first time in his career, Magic leads the league in both offensive win shares and box plus-minus, finally pushing past the narrative that he's merely a flashy floor general. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan averages a league-best 37.1 points per game, his highest single-season mark and the best since Wilt Chamberlain's 1960s dominance, but finishes third in MVP voting. Voters favor winning. The Bulls win just 40 games and finish 8th in the East. Bird, the reigning MVP, finishes second with 28.1 points and 9.2 rebounds per night, but the Celtics' 59-23 record doesn't carry enough narrative momentum to secure a fourth trophy. Asked about Magic's win during a local radio hit, Bird shrugs and says, asterisk, he finally deserved one. The league's balance of power now begins to tilt westward. The following season, MVP voting tightens even further, forcing a photo finish between three icons as Magic looks to repeat. In 1990, Magic Johnson wins his second MVP by edging out Michael Jordan by just 22 votes, and Charles Barkley by 61. Voters reward Johnson's leadership of a 63-19 Lakers team, the best record in the league, over gaudier individual stat lines. Magic averages 22.3 points, 11.5 assists, and 6.6 rebounds while shooting a career-best 38% from three, thriving as the offensive hub of Pat Riley's post-Showtime roster. He plays all 79 games, starts fast with a 15-game win streak, and anchors a top-3 offense in both pace and efficiency. Meanwhile, Jordan posts 33.6 points and 2.8 steals per game, leading the league in both while dragging the Bulls to 55 wins under rookie head coach Phil Jackson. Critics still question his ability to elevate teammates, branding him too selfish in national columns despite a 6.3 assist average. Barkley also makes a strong case, putting up 25.2 points and 11.5 rebounds on 60% shooting and leading the league in PER at 27.8. Yet, Philadelphia's 53-29 finish and second-round exit mute the momentum. Asterisk E. Barkley quote to reporters, "I guess you gotta win 70 games or smile more," makes the rounds on every post-award segment. Asterisk. The race reveals the emerging shift in MVP criteria, balancing team success with narrative and durability, and it leaves both Jordan and Barkley waiting. Charles Barkley arrives in Phoenix for the 1992-93 season and immediately transforms the Suns into title contenders. After years of all-star production in Philadelphia, he averages a career-best 25.6 points, 12.2 rebounds, and 5.1 assists per game, while leading the team to a 62-20 record, their best in franchise history. His impact is both statistical and cultural. Phoenix tops the West for the first time in a decade, and Barkley's physical play style, combined with his off-court charisma, makes him a face of the league. National broadcasters push his candidacy as a shift from the Jordan-centric narratives of the past 3 seasons. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan delivers another dominant season with 32.6 points per game on 49.5% shooting, but voter fatigue and a desire for narrative change tip the scales. The MVP vote splits sharply along geographic lines, with Barkley securing 385 points to Jordan's 312, much of it from Western voters eager to crown a new contender. Barkley celebrates the win with an impromptu Sprite chug on live television, and Suns jersey sales spike across the country. The postseason looms with heavy expectations, and Barkley prepares to face the very man he just dethroned. The 1993 Finals pit MVP against reigning king, but the outcome reshapes perceptions again, setting up the league's most contentious MVP vote just 4 years later. If you made it this far, you're one of the real ones. At BBall Decoded, we don't sugarcoat the past. We break it down, team by team, draft by draft, mistake by mistake. If you love deep NBA stories, critical breakdowns, and raw basketball truth, hit that like button, subscribe for more team deep dives, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next.